Is there a miracle left for Luna? Chaos doesn't knock, it breaks down the door. And for Luna, that door was torn off its hinges the moment truth collided with consequence. In a flash, her world shattered, leaving her broken and bleeding on the pavement, with headlights burning into her skin and regret slicing deeper than any wound. Only minutes earlier, the tension in the hospital corridor was unbearable. Bridget, always calm under pressure, stepped out of the examination room, eyes tired but mouth curled into a smile that struck like lightning through the storm brewing around her. The baby is not Will's, she said. 7 words. That was all it took. The floor beneath Luna gave way. Her hands trembled, her breath caught. There was no relief, no joy, no sense of clarity. Only dread, because Luna knew what this meant. It meant the fragile thread she'd been hanging on to. Bill's suspicion, Will's denial, the false hope that maybe, just maybe, paternity would save her, was gone. Without that child being Will's, she had nothing left to shield her. And Bill Spencer? He wasn't a man known for mercy. If there was no tie to his family, then Luna wasn't just disposable, she was guilty. Guilty of deceit, of betrayal, of dragging his son into a scandal and nearly destroying what was left of their already fractured family. Luna didn't wait. Her body moved before her mind could even catch up. She bolted from the hospital, heart pounding like a war drum, her heels clicking against the cold tile floor until she hit the doors and ran headlong into the night. The wind sliced through her hair as she pushed forward blindly, panic overtaking logic. She had to get out. She had to escape before Bill caught up with her, before the reckoning arrived. But Bill had already seen her leave. He was right behind her. He shouted her name, once, twice, but she didn't stop. Not even when the traffic light ahead blinked red. Not when tires screeched in the distance. And then, impact. It wasn't a scream that followed. It was silence. Bone-chilling, gut-wrenching silence. Luna's body hit the windshield and rolled, limbs limp, face pale. She crumpled to the asphalt like a broken doll tossed aside. Bill skidded to a halt just in time to see her body bounce once before coming to a stop right in front of him. His breath caught. He didn't move. He couldn't. His worst fear hadn't just come true, it had unfolded right in front of his eyes. He staggered forward, dropping to his knees beside her, his voice hoarse as he barked at the bystanders to call an ambulance. His hands hovered over her bloodied form, afraid to touch her, afraid she might already be gone. Her eyes fluttered. She whispered something, too soft to hear. Then, nothing. Paramedics arrived within minutes. Bill didn't let them out of his sight as they loaded her onto the stretcher. Her face was ghostly, stained with crimson. There was so much blood. Too much. But even through the chaos, the words from Bridget repeated like a curse in his mind. The baby is not Will's. And now, with Luna unconscious and fighting for her life in the emergency room, that statement became even more loaded. Because if Luna died tonight, she wouldn't just leave behind wreckage. She'd leave behind unanswered questions, secrets, and possibly a child. Inside the emergency room, it was war. Luna's injuries were catastrophic, multiple fractures, internal bleeding, a collapsed lung. The impact had thrown her hard, and her body wasn't built to withstand it. Every second counted. Bridget, back in scrubs, took charge alongside a team of surgeons. They were racing not just to save Luna, but the baby growing inside her. Outside, Bill paced like a lion. His mind was a battlefield. Anger, guilt, fear, none of it made sense anymore. Why had she run? What was she so desperate to hide? And why had she said nothing, even when she had the chance? But the answer was clear now. Luna had been hiding the truth all along. Not to protect herself, but to delay the punishment she knew would come. The moment that test proved Will wasn't the father, she became expendable. And she knew it, but did she really think Bill would hurt her? Jail her? He didn't know what he would have done. Not anymore. He had chased her in a blind rage. He hadn't thought of consequences. Only betrayal. And now she was on a hospital bed, her life hanging by a thread. And the baby, the child that might be the only piece of her left, was the only thing the doctors might be able to save. The doors to the OR swung open. Bridget emerged, her face a mask of exhaustion. Bill was on her in an instant. How is she? Bridget hesitated. We managed to stabilize the baby. And Luna? He asked, his voice cracking. We don't know yet. She's critical. Severe brain trauma. Multiple organ damage. She's not breathing on her own. Bill's knees buckled. He leaned against the wall, his fists clenched. All the power in the world, and he was powerless now. He looked through the observation window into the ICU. Tubes, machines, wires, Luna was barely recognizable. But even through the mess, she looked peaceful. As if she'd finally escaped the storm chasing her. But it wasn't over. Not yet. Inside her womb, the baby still fought. A miracle child born of chaos. A child without a father, without a future, unless Bill did something. He stayed at the hospital for days. Never left. Barely slept. He brought in the best specialists. Paid whatever it took. Bridget coordinated round-the-clock care. And through it all, Luna remained unresponsive. There was a moment, 3 days after the crash, when her fingers twitched. A subtle sign. But it didn't last. The doctors warned him not to hold on to false hope. If Luna woke up, she might not remember anything. She might not even be able to speak. Bill didn't care. He just wanted her to live. But others weren't so forgiving. Katie showed up, demanding answers. Will came too, silent and tense. The paternity lie had left its scars. And now, with Luna on life support, those wounds were fresh and bleeding. She used us, Katie said. She played you, Bill. She deserves prison, not protection. She doesn't deserve this, Bill snapped. No one does. But even he wasn't sure anymore. Was he protecting her because he cared? Or because guilt was eating him alive? Luna's mother, Poppy, eventually arrived, broken and furious. She wept by her daughter's side, clutching her hand, begging her to wake up. The history between them had been rocky, but in that room, none of it mattered. What mattered was life. And Luna was slipping away. The baby, miraculously, was thriving. Premature, yes, but strong. A fighter. Just like her mother. Bill watched the child through the glass of the NICU, wondering what kind of future she would have. Would Luna ever hold her? Would she even know she existed? And then came the twist. Bridget called him into her office one morning with a grim expression. We ran additional tests, she said, handing over a file. DNA confirmation. Bill flipped it open, and his hands began to shake. The baby wasn't Will's. But she was still a Spencer. The child was his. His. Not Will's. His. Luna had lied. Not to protect herself, but to protect him. The timeline suddenly made sense. The nights they'd spent together. The secret glances. The tension. Luna hadn't seduced Will. She had been with Bill. And when she'd realized she was pregnant, she'd spun a false story. Maybe hoping to keep her distance. Maybe hoping to keep the baby out of his ruthless world. But now, the truth was written in ink. Bill had a daughter. And the mother was fighting for her life. He didn't know whether to scream or cry. Luna had kept everything from him, and yet now, all he wanted was for her to survive. Not for justice. Not for redemption. But because something inside him had changed. He wanted to be a father again. He wanted Luna to see her child. To name her. To know she was loved. But time was running out. The doctors gave Luna 1 more week. If there was no improvement, they would discuss removing life support. Bill refused to hear it. He stayed with her, talking to her, begging her to wake up, holding her hand and whispering stories about the baby, her daughter. And then, in the quiet of a late-night vigil, her fingers twitched again. This time, stronger. Her eyelids fluttered. Machines beeped wildly. Nurses rushed in. And Luna opened her eyes. Only for a second. But it was enough. There might be a miracle left for Luna after all. The moment the alert came over the intercom, code critical, room 206. Dr. Finnegan, please report immediately. Finn and Lee were already sprinting through the corridor. The hospital had quieted for the night, but not for them. The emergency call had come from Bridget. Luna's vitals had fluctuated. Something had changed. When they reached the ICU, they found Bill standing outside the room, his face pale, eyes bloodshot. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in a week. Inside the room, Luna's body was still, machines hissing around her like serpents. Her hand had moved again. Her eyes had flickered. Finn didn't wait for permission. He grabbed a chart from the nurse and stormed into the room. Lee on his heels. For all the chaos Luna had brought into the Forrester-Spencer orbit. Neither of them could ignore her humanity. She was still family. She was still his cousin. Lee's expression was tight, focused. What happened? She asked. Bridget pointed to the monitor. Her oxygen levels dipped, but then she stabilized. She may be coming out of the coma. But it's fragile. Finn stepped beside the bed, placing a gloved hand on Luna's wrist. We need to keep her stimulation minimal. No stress. She's on the edge. Bill stood outside the glass, arms crossed, fists clenched. Watching. Waiting. Lee turned to him. You called us? He nodded. She needs every chance she can get. Lee stepped out, pulling off her gloves. Her tone was sharp but low. You chased her into traffic. Bill didn't defend himself. He just nodded, jaw tightening. I know, he said quietly. And I'll carry that forever. Finn looked over his shoulder, then back at Bill. If she wakes up, she may have no memory. She may not recognize anyone. You have to be prepared. I don't care if she remembers me or not, Bill muttered. I just want her to live. The silence that followed was heavier than anything words could bear. Lee crossed her arms. She caused so much damage. To the Forresters. To Will. To you. To herself. She did, Bill agreed. But she didn't grow up like we did. She never had anyone in her corner. Lee raised a skeptical brow. Are you justifying what she did? I'm not justifying anything, he said, voice suddenly raw. I'm telling you that I saw something in her. Someone who didn't know how to ask for love because she'd never been shown it. Finn looked through the glass at Luna, barely alive, wires crawling all over her body. The machines keeping time with her weak heart. She's not a monster, but she is broken. Bill nodded. And I helped break her. He paused, swallowed, looked down at his hands. If she dies, I'll never forgive myself. I'll never get to tell her that the baby is mine. Lee stiffened. Finn's head snapped toward him. Wait, what? Bill's voice dropped. Bridget confirmed it. DNA test. The child's mine. Not Will's. Not anyone else's. The words lingered like smoke in the air. Lee's expression softened, but only slightly. And what are you going to do? Bill looked up. I'm going to raise her. If Luna doesn't make it, I'll raise her. I'll give her the life Luna never had. For a moment, neither doctor said anything. Then Finn nodded slowly. That's the right thing. Bill turned back toward Luna's room. But it's not the only right thing. She needs more than medicine. She needs a reason to come back. He stepped into the room. Luna's eyes were closed, her breathing shallow but present. The bruises on her face had started to fade, but she still looked like a ghost. Halfway between this world and another. He sat beside her, gently taking her hand. You probably can't hear me, he said, voice low. But I'm going to say this anyway. I was angry. I was cruel. I chased you when I should have protected you. I let rage speak louder than reason. And I'm sorry. He paused. I know you lied. I know you tried to disappear. But I also know what it's like to grow up feeling like you don't belong. Like no one wants you. I saw it in your eyes from the first moment. That need. He looked at her belly, barely visible under the hospital blanket. She needs you, Luna. I need you. Don't go. Outside, Finn and Lee stood watching. Neither said a word, but in the stillness of the ICU, Luna's finger twitched again. Her eyelids flickered. A long beep echoed from the monitor, an alert but not a warning. A signal. She was responding. Bill leaned in. That's it. Come back to me. Come back to her. She needs her mother. Luna's lips parted. Barely. Her voice was a whisper. A breath. Baby Bill stood, his heart racing. I'm here. We're both here. Her eyes opened. Just for a moment. And for the first time since the crash, Luna stared up at him. Not with fear. Not with confusion. But with recognition. Bill, and then the machines whirred faster. Her oxygen levels rose. Her heart beat steady. The doctors moved in quickly, checking her vitals. Finn gave a sharp nod. She's stabilizing. Bridget stepped forward, smiling wide. She's fighting. Bill backed away, letting the team surround her. But before he stepped out, Luna's weak hand reached for him again. Their fingers touched. And with everything in him, he promised, you're not alone anymore. The miracle had begun. But the war wasn't over. Not yet.